All right, good evening, everyone. I think we are live on tonight. Brother, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in your hands.
Hey man, we would like to thank everyone for coming and tuning in to our Black History interview session with some great people. We want to thank our viewers near and far for tuning in. We hope you like our interview session, man. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, please put it in the chat box. We have a very special guest, man. If you haven't seen the first two sessions, you either need to go to Omega Chi 1957 Facebook, or you need to go to our YouTube channel, Omega Chi 1957, and catch the first two. But this one is definitely going to be a treat. Man, we have some great questions, but we usually just let them lead the way, and however it flows, we'll definitely let it happen that way, man. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Can I also say before we even bring her up that I'm excited tonight because in addition to us streaming on our Omega Chi Facebook page, we are also streaming live on the Mighty 7D official Facebook page tonight too. So a special rule to our brothers in Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama. We're excited to be engaging with everybody on tonight. So I'm really excited about this. But first and foremost, we want to say good evening to our guest for this evening, Miss Lynda Blackmon Lowery. How are you tonight?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Listen, and look, I've been trying to catch my breath because we everything we just tried to go through to try to make sure that we got you in here. That technology is something serious, but as always, happy to be here. And first and foremost, we just always like to just give you the floor with opening up. And so, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are?
My name is Lynda Blackmon Lowery. Before my 15th birthday, I have been jailed 9 times. You're looking at a proud and happy jailbird. Why? Because I didn't go to jail for taking anything from anyone. I didn't go to jail for hurting anyone. I went to jail for what I believed in. And you might ask, what could a 14-year-old believe in so much? She would go to jail 9 times, twice to a state prison camp. Well, when I was 7 years old, my mother died. And I'm the oldest of 4. I heard the older people saying she wouldn't have died if she hadn't been colored. Growing up in a segregated society in the South, I knew that white people didn't like black people and black people didn't like white people. But at 7 years old, I learned that white people hated black people so much they would let our mother die. My father's wife die. My grandmother's only child die. So at 7, I vowed that when I got big, I would change things and nobody would ever have to grow up without a mommy again because of the color of her skin. I didn't know that getting big meant hearing Dr. King speak for the first time at the age of 13. Dr. King came to Selma to encourage our parents and the adults to register to vote. He talked about how they were going to do it nonviolently. And he said 3 words in that speech that night that has guided my life since the age of 13. He said, you can get anybody to do anything with steady, loving confrontation. And I heard those words. But the next time he said it in that speech, I distinctively heard him say, Lynda, you can get anybody to do anything with steady, loving confrontation. And I remember jumping up saying, oh, yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. And my grandmother pulling me back down because we were at church saying, you better shut up, child. but that's that that's what started me to want
That
to be
that's
a better
that's sort of
person.
like that spark that sort of got you involved in wanting to be involved and to make a difference at such a young
Yes.
age. That's inspiring. And I knew, I even me as a Selmian, I knew a little bit about what you went through, but to be jailed 9 times,
That was
that
the thing to do. You march, you went to jail. We were prepared for that. And it wasn't fun not being in jail, being out here because most of your clique, most of your friends was already in jail. So you
can
you,
you,
you know you had to go too.
can you talk about that experience a little bit?
The first time when we first started marching, they was taking us to the old National Guard Armory over on Washington Street, just a big concrete building with concrete floors and concrete walls. Um, they would keep us there for that day and let us out in the late afternoon, early evening. When we first went to jail, I remember I had to be in the first march of the day, and we were in jail. And that night, it seemed like it was the darkest night in my whole life I can ever remember. And I was scared. It was about maybe 75 girls in this cell for two. And I was really scared. I started crying. And a friend of mine, um, the late Ruby Nell Brooks, Ruby came and sat by me and started hugging me and rocking me. And that's when I realized that there were other girls crying as well. And there were other girls hugging and rocking them. And then in the dark night, this alto voice came out with, "We shall overcome." And that song to this day calms my spirit when I'm going through something. But we all started singing that song, and it just seems like the fear dissipated. The longest time in jail and being in the two state prison camps was in Camp Selma. We had 3 marches on that particular day. And they took the first two set of marchers from the Selma City Jail, put us on buses, and drove us 15, 20 miles outside of Selma to a prison camp called Camp Selma. We were there for 3 days. 3 times a day for 3 days, they fed us black eyed peas. On the third day, it was toward night. They put us on the buses, and we knew we were coming home, but the ride got longer and longer, and it started getting darker and darker. We ended up 40 miles from Selma in a place called Thomaston, Alabama, and another state prison camp, Camp Thomaston. We were there for 6 days, 3 times a day. For 6 days, they gave us black eyed peas to eat. I am 70 years old, and I haven't eaten a black eyed pea since I was 14. They did all they could to break our spirits, but we had a job to do. We were on a mission, and we were going to get our job done.
I'm over here just wow. The one thing that I love so much about the story you shared is everybody always believes that activism is, happiness and rainbows and, there are good moments, but people don't necessarily know about those dark moments and the late nights, the nights in jail, the things that you go through. And so, first and foremost, thank you so much for even being bold enough to go through that, not just one time, but multiple times. You know, Bro Marshall, I gotta throw it over to you because that's pretty heavy. I'm be honest.
It definitely is, and man, and in the world we live in, men are always put at the forefront of Black history. Not to say that men didn't do a lot for Black history, because they did, but so many women have done so many great things. And just to sit back and listen and hear you talk about how courageous you were to endure those things, and Omega Psi Phi, we always talk about a good soldier endures hardship, and I can definitely say that you were a good soldier, and you endured some things that put you on the pedestal that you are now, so people like myself could try to be a better person in society. And I sincerely appreciate you for that. A question that I have for you is, seeing how things are now, which has led to us having a Black woman in the White House, how did it make you feel as an African American woman?
Well, I am proud and happy. Um, I have always been honored to say I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black girl. I'm a Black child. I'm a Black teen. Now I'm a Black woman. And I have always, it didn't take James Brown back in the 60s to have teach me to say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. I've always been Black and I've always been proud. And see the to see the changes in the White House alone is something that just I sit back and it still blows my mind. I guess my mind will be blowing for the next 8 years, seeing Vice President Harris there. Um, but that's just a surface change. That's not the change we need to make this country um, what it needs to be to sustain humanity. See, in the 60s, we fought for voting rights and civil rights. We knew who our enemy was. We knew who was under those sheets. We knew those things. Today, we're fighting for human rights. I don't care what the fight is. It can be women's health, um, police brutality, no matter what that fight is, voter suppression, it's all human rights. Because what affects one now, people are beginning to see that it affects everyone. So the fight now, to me, is to put the word human back in the word humanity, because it's all human rights. Like I said, we knew who our enemy was. It is more dangerous today because you don't know who your enemy is. You can go to church for prayer service and somebody comes in and starts shooting and killing you. We have to talk uh, over and over to our young Black boys and men about what not to do if they are stopped by people in blue that says they are here to serve and protect. We don't know what's happening these days.
Can I ask a quick question? I want to sort of kind of follow up behind what you're talking about to the young activist or to the young person that's out there in the streets mobilizing, especially in such a polarizing society. Um, from your lens of wisdom, what would you recommend, or how should we push forward in a way that is conducive for all of us, especially when we sometimes know that the enemy is not always who we believe it is?
I often tell people you have to first look inside of yourself and see what values, morals, what you have inside of you that you want to see inside that you want to see in another person. That way you begin to know who who you can trust or be with in a fight, that a nonviolent fight, because I still believe in nonviolence. Nonviolence brought us over a long way, and it's still ingrained in me, so I still believe in nonviolence. But you have to know yourself first in order to be able to know somebody else. You also have to know yourself first in order to know what you see wrong in society and what you want to change, what you would like to make different for the better for all. So I just tell them to pick your fight. Whatever makes you, what you see or believe that you can change, that's what you do. And once you start, you have to continue. You can't stop when you don't see something happening in 2 weeks. You have to be consistent. My grandmother used to tell us, be determined when you start something to take it from the beginning to the end, no matter what the outcome. And I've never been courageous, but I've always been determined to finish whatever I start.
I keep talking with my mic off. I would have to say that's definitely a courageous aspect, with everything that you said. And I do believe that a mistake that sometimes we make is we do not look to the people who have done the work and what they've gone through. And some things can be avoided, and some things we can do better. Even in society like today, especially when we are at a place where sometimes you may not need to go to extremes. But I thank you for providing that insight with that. I want to ask this next question. We were talking about representation for women in the White House. How important is it for at least us to just have representation, period, when it comes to positions of power, influential positions, elected positions? Why is it so important that we need to see Black faces in these positions?
To me, it's important because um, I've seen a lot of white faces in the positions, and they didn't do anything to help me nor people that look like me. So I want to see, and I do believe that we can put a lot more Black faces in positions of power if we get up and go vote at every opportunity, at every election, at every time we need to. It would just be a benefit to all. And I think when we put Black people in power, most Black people know or have been down and they didn't have bootstraps to pull themselves up with, but they did pull themselves up, and others pull with them. So since they know already what it's like to be on the have and have not side, I think that they would be a benefit to all and would represent all equally.
Gotcha. Bro Marsh, I think I'm gonna throw it over to you.
Just being able to hear the way you feel and hear the sincerity of your voice. I kind of can feel the emotions kind of rawing up from experiences and probably just revelations of the things you've been through. It's definitely raw. It's definitely real, and that's what we want the people to know. We want the people to know how that experience was, or how the contribution to where we are now. How does it really feel? Because a lot of times, even in a shorter documentary or a quick interview, you only get small tidbits of what really happened, and you're just laying it out. Just if you was cooking Sunday dinner, you got everything laid out, and my plate is full. I'm not even gonna lie, my plate is full. You probably be my grandmama fussing like, why you got all this stuff on your plate? But I want to take it in. I'm enjoying the experience, and the next topic that we want to talk about is it's kind of been a hot topic for the past couple of months, even a year or so, about the renaming of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And that's due to the fact that a lot of Confederate statues and buildings have been renamed lately. And we actually talked about this with a former interview, and she was just like saying renaming things does not really change things, but it just says, hey, we just changing the name because we feel some type of way. What does that really do for you, and how do you feel about that?
Well, I have been very adamant about a name change. I do not want that name changed. For this reason, very simple. We know who Edmund Pettus was. We know what he did and how he did it, but I also feel that John Lewis, myself, and others left their blood, their tears, and their fears embedded in that cement. If it had not been for Confederate history, there wouldn't have been no need for civil rights or voting rights history. That bridge is not a monument or a statue. If we change the name, we will be whitewashing our history. And it is not only Black history, but Black history is embedded in the Confederate history, and Confederate history is embedded into Black history. I am in agreement with Senator Malika Fortier for now in having the people of Selma, if there is a name change, having them do it. That is our bridge. And see, when people come here, they don't come and say, I'm going to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They come and walk across the bridge. They take pictures on the bridge. It just happened to have a name of a Confederate general, Ku Klux Klan organizer. And every time I think we walk across that bridge, that Confederate general, Ku Klux Klan organizer bones start shaking. And I just like that thought. But no, I do not see the bridge. I don't see the a name change. And people say, well, what about Foot Soldiers Bridge? They're still whitewashing it. If we don't know that history, then we we gonna fail all over again. We need that. We need that history because that history brought us to this history that we are discussing.
And so for clarity, just so because I really appreciate you bringing that up, and you brought up something what Senator Fortier is doing. The bill that she's presenting is she's talking about that bill would allow Selmians and us, the community, the lawmakers, we would essentially have the power to even decide whether or not we want to do it or not. And I do think it's important to put that out there that no matter how we feel about it, we do want to at least try to have control and be
Right.
able to sort of have control of that in our community. I think, I do think that is important. And so to the people who believe, just to kind of push Brother Marshall's question, who believe that that it represents for what it represents and why it needs to be changed, because at one point there was a huge thing about trying to change it to John Lewis, and then they wanted to change it to other people as well. What do you say to those people that don't know about the significance of why it has remained Edmund Pettus evidence on that bridge for so many years?
It has remained that way because nobody ever wanted to try to change it, I guess. But when they brought this about, and even John himself said he didn't want the name of that bridge changed. But when they brought this about, they they just put it out there to America and said, we need to change the Edmund Pettus Bridge to the John Lewis Bridge. And so many Americans, just like 400,000 people signed this little petition. And that's what really made me angry, because I was going like, hey, we're here in Selma. We're not dumb people. We know what it is. We know why. But how can you sit up there somewhere, wherever you are, and tell us what we should be doing when most of the people had never been to Selma? And for those who had been here, they came for a photo op. As far as I'm concerned, they came for a photo op. They took pictures on our bridge, and they left their garbage in our street. But all those 400,000 people that were talking never tried to do anything economically for Selma, or talk to the people in Selma. And there are foot soldiers like myself that are still alive and well. And I just got, well, I'm gonna tell you the truth, I was highly pissed. And I was so glad I didn't see Michael, the young man that started that thing, the petition, when he did, because if I had, I think I would have not been nonviolent.
Oh man. Hey man, listen.
And I did tell him that. And I did tell him that when I met him. And I did say, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity, because it gave him and I an opportunity to speak to each other and with each other. And I was glad. I let him know if I had seen him when he first started that petition, I probably would have wrung him out like a wet dish rag. And those were my words. And I truly meant it too. Because I was.
But you know what? Though I think I think that's a lesson. This was a lesson for it because because I know Michael too, and so
Mhm.
I do think this was a lesson for people that you can't necessarily make decisions about Selma without Selma. You can't push
Right.
anything for Selma without Selma. We're different than other communities
Hey.
around. Around. We're not like other cities. You can never compare Selma to anything else just because
Mm-mm.
what we went through. So hey, I love it. I love it. Listen, only
Well,
on these conversations, I guess tell it like it is, and I
yeah,
salute.
tell it like it is. Tell it like it is. Something that you said that just stuck out to me the most is just saying that changing that name would whitewash our history. That's literally the second time someone has said that. So it is showing me that we aren't having the conversation with the right people. We're asking people who had no parts of the history. So many people who don't have part of the history have so much to say. I feel that since we've talked to the people that had or played a major part, those are the words that I want to hear, knowing that you feel, hey, this is a part of me. This is a part of me. I'm a part of it. If you remove any small detail away from it, you're basically removing me from it as well.
That's it.
So I agree with it. I've never been with the name change. I've always, because I'm a history teacher, so
Come
I don't
on.
like to change history. Yeah. So I'm a history teacher. I don't like to change things that have a meaning. That bridge has a meaning. You doing what you're doing has a meaning. What John Lewis did has a meaning. What everyone that contributed to the civil rights movement has a meaning. And once you remove the smallest detail, you have just changed something that has too much value to be changed ever.
I'm gonna use Tulsa, Oklahoma, for an example. We are
Mm,
now finding out all about these uh, Black Wall Street cities in these different places that was like 100 years ago that
yes.
just disappeared, and now we are just now finding out about this history. That history had been whitewashed, and then when you whitewash it, you erase it. People are saying, oh, Selma was the voting rights capital. It'll never be erased. No, Selma will never be erased, but we erase the history of Selma. We keep parts of that history, and then we erase parts, and that's not right. And as long as I breathe, that's not going to happen.
Come on with it.
I'm,
It's interesting you
I'm
talk
going to
about
be
this
the one
early
out
history.
there with the oxygen mask, holding the sign saying, "Leave my bridge alone."
Yeah.
That's interesting. You talked about that. So I've been reading Abina Phillips had got me on this book called Selma, the Bicentennial History, and it sort
Mhm.
of gives that unedited history from the inception of Selma all the way to where we are. And there's so much history, black and white,
Yeah,
that we don't know. Like I bet a lot of people don't know that at one point Selma was the hub that housed the most slaves in the country. And if you were a slave in the city, you were prone to earn your freedom because the carpenters and the bakers and the business owners, they were teaching you the tools of the trade for you
right.
to be able to do on your own. And so slaves had a better chance of survival in Selma, which was the hub of literally of industry back in the day. So there's so much history about Selma besides the bridge that that's one of the things that we do with Selma Matters, which I was so glad to be able to work with you on, for us to try to be able to help get the word out because that is
Oh, yes.
yes,
Every
yes.
time I pass by the old Major Grumbles building, I can't help but think about this is where on the second floor the slaves was kept until they were sold in that little square, on a Saturday. That's why they call that market day was their Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I Selma is rich in history. And those histories, believe it or not, that Confederate history, this Black history, all of this is intertwined. And we need to know it all, not part of it, not a piece, but all of it.
I agree.
Because we are Selma.
I agree. You are actually sort of kind of going into, believe it or not, one of our final questions, which is, and please continue to elaborate. Just what does it mean? Being who you are, as accomplished as you are, the way that you've been able to do what you do, and to be from Selma, and to represent, have that Selma heritage. What does that personally mean to you?
I have to tell this little story. I lived in on Staten Island, New York for 14 years. And I worked very hard keeping my Southern accent. I worked very hard at letting everybody know I was from Selma, Alabama, not just Alabama, Selma, Alabama. And people would ask me, so what's so special about Selma? First of all, I was showing myself and my two children. And then I would go on to elaborate on how Selma was the capital of the voting rights movement. And especially women, I would let them know, Black, white, and other, that they were able to register to vote because of Selma. And they used to say that I said that the name Selma with such reverence that, one of these days they were going to have to visit Selma. But Selma, it means I am so proud to be able to say I was born and reared in Selma, Alabama.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm not originally from here, but as everyone tells me, I've been here long enough to be considered a Selmian. So I do take pride in that because I've gave so much to this city as well as my hometown. But I often, as I look around and I want your point of view on it, I see everything around Selma growing to be a technological place or just growing economically. Where would we have to be for us to get to that point? Like what's stopping us from getting to that point in your eyes?
I had to swallow that word. Sorry about that. I had to swallow that word. Couldn't say it. Uh, the
Hey, listen.
thing
Hey,
that
we
is
want the raw.
stopping us,
Hey, we want the raw. We want the
the
raw. So
thing.
whatever you got,
No,
we
I
want
can't
it.
say that word on this thing. Anyway,
Listen, you have the platform. Seriously.
I think the thing that is stopping us is still the fact that we see color. I mean, we're going to always see color. I cannot change this. Don't want to change it. Proud of it. But we see color. And in that color, you have all of this envy, jealousy. That is not only among our white counterparts, but that's among ourselves too. And we hold each other back. We don't want one to have more than the other. And that's not how it goes. If you do it, if you achieve, then fine. that's yours. You deserve it. It's like I can do it too if I set my mindset to it. But we don't see that until we can stop, until we can take that envy and that jealousy and that make us hate. We even hate each other. Until we can stop that, we won't move. We'll move in little inches, but we won't move in miles that we could move in, I believe. Maybe I didn't say it right.
You said it perfectly. You did.
Perfect.
And I don't even know if it's something that I think we've been fighting for generations. And I think it goes back to slavery, and it goes back to that mentality that was put in us years ago when it came to achievements. And so I think you said it beautifully. I wouldn't even add anything to that. I'll just say
Thank you. And you know I admire you, don't you?
Oh man, look.
Yes, I do.
I think overall, if we can learn to love each other just a little bit more and stop hating each other just a little less, I think we can leap a few mountains and get to great heights in this community, because Selma's a great place. Like, I've been here a long time. It had to be something great here going on for me to be a part of it. And I've always wanted to see this place grow. It has the potential. And I think at some point, man, we're going to get around that corner, as my grandmama used to say. It's just something around that. If you just hold on just a little while longer, it's something around that corner. And I think if we can get to that point, we'll be bigger than we are now. Like, we'll be bigger than civil rights. Civil rights will just be a portion of what the things are to come for the city of Selma.
Yes. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Are you running for office? You have my vote.
We'll be talking about Marshall.
Yes, I was. Because I know you're going to run for office at some point. Because I'm pushing you out there. I'm praying you out there.
Somebody told me that I'll probably make a good mayor one day. So hey, we'll see one day what happens.
All right. And if I'm around, baby, I will be voting for you.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. I wholeheartedly do.
Taking them
Thank
to
you.
the polls too.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just put in a commercial for me?
Go ahead.
Okay. I want everyone that's listening to save the date of March 7th, 2021, and tune in to BET at 7 p.m. that night for a segment of The Boiling Point, but it will be on Selma, Alabama.
Wow.
So I want everybody to tune in on March 7th, 7 p.m. on BET for Selma, Alabama. And I'm saying that because, of course, yours truly is going to be on it too.
Well, we'll definitely be marketing that overall just because of the city of Selma, but we definitely market it because you're going to be on it, and we know that it's some stuff you ain't tell us today that we're going to hear about on March 7th. So I'll definitely be tuned in as well just to make sure. But we'll definitely advertise that on all our social media pages, on any platform that we have that will help the city of Selma be a highlight or a light to anyone's life.
All right.
And listen,
sounds good to me.
Listen, as always, we just want to just thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us tonight. These things get better and better, and you have brought so much for me, because you know black trauma is real, and so when you really get into the things that we've dealt with and the things that we go through daily, that's a lot to take in. And so um, I have to give you your flowers of appreciation for being
Thank
willing to
you, my
dive
brother.
into that, because I know that's not always easy to have to relive.
It has been getting harder. I think back in November, I was being interviewed by CBS News, and they showed me some archive footage of Bloody Sunday, and I when I tell my story, and even written, I tell about running into this cloud of tear gas, and this man running behind me. He was a sheriff's deputy, running behind me, hitting me. And uh, in telling my story, I say I must have passed out, because when I woke up, I was on a stretcher going to a hearse. But in this archive footage that CBS showed me, it shows me running into the gas, being hidden, being beaten by this man, and I fall down. And when I fall down, it shows this Alabama state trooper kicking me and another man hitting me, and then a third man kicks me. I hadn't seen that. And in my psychic, it had buried that. And when I saw it, all I could do was tremble and cry. All I could think about was that hatred that did that to me. And I can see that hatred now in the things that are happening in the George Floyds, in the Trayvon Martins. I can see that hatred happening now. So it is getting more and more. When you say emotional to tell it, it is getting more and more emotional to tell it, because I thought that hatred had died out from back then, that was being shown, that we received as a people. And now to see that hatred being so blatantly shown, and it takes people dying for somebody to speak out against it. Mm. I didn't mean to go there. Uh, I
You
didn't. I
you
didn't.
you have nothing to apologize for.
Not a thing.
Woo.
Man, man, that just took me, like, I was visualizing that, and man, listen, man, God has brought us from a mighty long way, but we still got a little ways to go.
We have a long way to go.
Thank you. I all I could just say is thank you.
Yeah,
And
like,
as
that's tough.
traumatic as it is so inspiring for up and coming up and coming young Black people such as myself and such as other Black people growing up. It's a testimony that will never go unnoticed. And
Never.
and as long as I know that I am living, it will not be in vain at all.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you.
Yeah.
If I could hug you right now, I promise I would. If I could wrap my arms around you and just know that,
I
hey man,
feel it. I feel the love.
hey, it's some Black men out here that truly love you, and Lord knows I could have protected you during that time frame. I would have done anything I could to do that. But I just want you to know now that you're definitely safe right now. Because if I see anybody bother anybody, they got some trouble on their hand. They got some
I
trouble
learned how
on
to
their
use
hand.
Thank you. I see to everyone. I see your chat, your comments, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Listen, Bro Marsh, just you can take us out.
I got you. Hey, listen, man. I'm full as well. We would like to thank all our viewers for tuning in. If you didn't catch this segment, it will be on our it will be on the 7th District Omega Sci-Fi page. It will be on our Omega Chi of Omega Chi, Omega Chi Chat Omega Sci-Fi page, and also on our YouTube channel, Omega Chi 1957. And man, hey, share this, man. Somebody somewhere needs to see this, even if they didn't have time to watch it live. Is definitely a moment of sincerity. Like, man, you got to hear that. You know, you got to hear it. You got to feel it. I felt it when you said that story for CBS. I closed my eyes and I wanted to kind of feel how you felt, and I felt it. I felt it like, man, the hair on my arm stood up, and I sincerely appreciate you. I love you. Can continue fighting a good fight, and thank you for the good trouble that you put forth, so people like us could live a decent life.
I want to also put
Always
out there
good
too.
trouble.
I want to also put out there too that we're also streaming live on the Mighty 7D Facebook page for the 7th District of Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity as well. So we've got some extra viewers also tuning in tonight too. And so please, so we just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we appreciate you for the work that you all have done. Thank you all so much again. And Miss Lowery, thank you. Seriously.
Thank you.
Definitely.
And with
Y'all have
that
a good
being
night.
said, you all have a wonderful night.